where teachers have to take up so the projects particularly concerned with evaluating political processes. So then lastly, so why this problem continues? So why it is not possible to reform? So again, there is the problem of who is to bell the cat. In fact, there are two problems, particularly in reforming the governance and the political structure. So the one problem is that who should initiate reforms? So those who are the beneficiaries, same politicians, same leaders have to initiate the reform, but they are the beneficiaries of the existing system. So that is why naturally they don't want to reform it. So then, secondly, in fact, in an open society, there must be, in fact, public opinion has to be generated against the system. So then, in fact, that the very public opinion is itself is controlled by these people. In fact, that so how these the political personalities figure in, of course, in the press. So in fact, that for the front page news is for politics. So then, in fact, that for various reasons, so the very public discourse is also controlled by them, those who are the beneficiaries of the existing system itself, and therefore, in fact, several reforms were initiated several times, particularly this first past the post system. But no worthwhile, no action has been taken here and there, some amendment to the Representation of the People Act, so that limiting, enhancing or some rules regarding disqualifications, etc. But the system as a whole, has not been changed. So then I think, in fact, that these factors have contributed to the less effective diminishing role of individual legislators. In fact, there are other reasons. For example, that people also sometimes are responsible. So that once a person is elected, so the people will go to him for all sorts of benefits. It is not the legislators who should benefit the individual electors, and this makes, in fact, that to a greater extent the legislators to participate in governance, so in becoming member and the chairman, etc. In fact, people also expect too much from the elected representatives. They are not supposed to. In fact, that legislators' role is confined to policy making and law making. So in fact, people should not think that their personal problem should be solved by these representatives. So that is another reason. That is why some MLAs were telling, we don't have much time to concentrate on law-making process or evaluating bills, etc. We have to concentrate on constituency. So in fact, that is one aspect, but the constituency creates some problem. In fact, that it makes sometimes legislators not to concentrate on law-making process. I think with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much. I thank Director Kilpar and University Law College for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Shri Dakshinamurthy to deliver the presidential remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are drawing to the close of the show. Now, this session was dedicated to a deliberation on the role of legislators in the lawmaking process. We had had two scintillating lectures, one by Dr. C. Rajshekhar and another by Dr. Aithal. They have taken us through an elaborate account of what is happening right now with our legislature and who is to define their roles. I think the deliberation ends in this, that everything is abysmal and we have no hope. Could that be? Can we think of such a system? Probably it is so now. then I have to take the deliberation a little forward to see, to oversee if there is anything positive about things. Now we have a very efficient constitutional system. No country in the world finds flaw with it. And we have laws that have been brought with considerable wisdom in the earlier times, relatively, I would say. Any law that relates to the law making, probably nobody has so far found fault with them. So that means to say the system is perfectly drawn up. The only thing is the defect, the flaw in its working. We adverted to the various deficiencies, particularly with the legislators, about their understanding the role, their conduct in the houses, their conduct in the public, and their contribution to the legislative process too. We generalized virtually that we find no men of character among the legislators, but that is still a general view. I have had occasion to come across many legislators. They used to come and sit in my chambers for some discussion here and there, discussion of their problems. But what I gathered from their talk was, right from those from the older generations till the recent new legislators, they were all worried about public corruption. So they were almost inducing me to find a way from the government side how to go about these things. So where does the flaw lie? Is the entire legislature without character and being corrupt? We would not know, because politics has been a complex subject. Politics as such is a systematic science. But today, we are not able to render the word politics its true meaning. Rather, we are going by a slang meaning of that word politics. We desist politics, whereas we have to grow and live with it. And suppose we have reason to blame the legislators for non-deliverance. Then who is responsible? It is very wisely said that the citizens get the government they deserve. So are we to conclude that the ultimate remedy lies with us, the citizens? If there is a systemic failure, there are two things to go about. One is to correct its functioning. The functioning has not been all right because the performers have not been diligent or honest. So that leads us to the second alternative. We have to revamp the system. We have to revamp the occupants, rather the performers. On whom does this onus lie? Or who is capable of doing this? Probably the present generation can do it. The students amongst you, the learned amongst you. You have to think in terms of building an alternate leadership. Probably it is there that the effective remedy lies. It's not that we don't have statesmen among us. We do have. But it appears somehow they have not been able to function in an atmosphere, a free atmosphere. There is some viscosity seen in the media. And that viscosity for the most is accounted by self-interestedness, selfishness, in contrast to a concern for public good. If they are our representatives, can't we not mend them? Is the first question. Two concrete suggestions came up in the lecture, in the deliverance of Dr. Rajshekhar, and they concerned the amendments required to the People's Representation Act, especially bearing on the criminalization in politics. So we know the solution also to an extent, but we are not able to go about it. Why? Because even the question of making those laws rests with the legislators. So it is the present day legislators that are offering a viscous media for anything better to happen. If we have to look at the role of legislators, we have got to see it in a positive direction, that probably there is no need to go in for any amendment of the rules that govern the business activity in the legislature. The rules are well drawn up. For one thing, they have been imbibed by the British Parliament system. One thing, one word of wisdom which came up in the deliverance of Dr. Rajshekhar was his quotation from B.K. Nehru, that the legislatures should not have any privileges or profits. The same thing was reflected in the deliverance of Dr. Aithal too. And what he said was about citizens get how to build an alternative to this state of affairs. The role of advocates has to be defined probably now not by law but by public opinion. That is how I derive a plausible solution. That is how I come to conclude at a plausible a plausible way of going about things here. It is only that can contain the legislators from transgressing their responsibilities or surrendering their personalities to mean ends. Deliberations of the future. This is just a step. Today's seminar on strengthening democratization is a first step in these circles. Probably there could be deliberations elsewhere. Let us try to see whether any useful recommendations have come from there. We will enlarge our study into this, and we also let us increase the number of these platforms to deliberate on the issue. This appears to be a a vicious circle rather. Something which we cannot tolerate but we cannot come out of it. There should be some serious thought, and probably more of these forums are desired for that purpose. We ought to have made some time for interaction, but for lack of time, we were not able to do it. Probably if we had allowed for interaction, some new points, suggestions could have come in, but we were not able to do it. So let us try to shift this, let us try to continue these deliberations on other platforms and in other forums to come. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
And memento to Dr. C. Rajshekhar. I request Dr. T.R. Subramanya to present a bouquet and memento to Dr. K.R. Aitar. I request Dr. Suresh Nadgara to present a bouquet to Shri Dakshin Murthy. Thank you, sir. With that, we come to the close of the fourth technical session. We will now break for tea for 10 minutes. I request all of you to assemble back here in 10 minutes for the valedictory function. Thank you.
On behalf of the Karnataka Institute for Law and Parliamentary Reform, Bangalore, and the University Law College and the Faculty of Law, Bangalore University, Bangalore, I welcome the distinguished chief guest of our valedictory function, Professor V.B. Kutino, former Vice Chancellor, Gulbarga University, and former Principal and Dean, University Law College, Bangalore University, Bangalore. Sir, we deem it a great privilege to be in your esteemed company at this valedictory function. I also welcome Professor J.S. Patil, Special Officer, Karnataka State Law University, Hubli, and Professor of Law, Gulbarga University, Gulbarga, for being with us as our guest of honor at this function. On behalf of the Karnataka Institute for Law and Parliamentary Reform, Bangalore, and University Law College, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. I also welcome Mr. Dakshinamurthy, Secretary of the KILPA, for his noble contribution for instituting seminars and organizing lectures of this kind. And this will go a long way in the history of Karnataka in educating law teachers, politicians, and academicians, and everyone. On behalf of the organization, on behalf of the University Law College and the Department of Law, I welcome you, sir. I also welcome Professor Hanumantarayappa, Dean, Faculty of Law and Principal, University Law College, Bangalore, and the sitting syndicate member, Bangalore University, Bangalore, for having accepted to be in our midst on this occasion. I also welcome distinguished invitees, distinguished law teachers, and members of the syndicate of the Bangalore University, and principals of the affiliated law colleges of the Bangalore University, learned men from all walks of life, and every participant who have come all the way from every nook and corner of India to participate in this one-day seminar. I also welcome the members of the press, the media, and everyone who is present individually at this function. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The chief guest for this evening is Dr. V.B. Kutino, who is well known to all of us. He was a professor, principal, and dean of University Law College and PG Department of Law for nearly 2 decades before becoming the Vice Chancellor of Gulbarga University. It was during this time that the 5-year LLB program was introduced in 1986 in the Bangalore University. He is a good administrator as well as a well-known academician. He is associated with several universities and organizations in framing the academic curriculum. Thank you for coming with us, sir. Please accept a token of gratitude. I request Dr. T.R. Subramanya to please give the bouquet and the memento.
Also with us is Dr. J.S. Patil. Dr. Patil is currently a special officer in Hubli on duty for overseeing the establishment of a law university in Karnataka. Earlier, he was professor and dean faculty of law of Gulbarga University. He is a well-known speaker in areas of jurisprudence and intellectual property rights. He has authored several publications in various law journals in India. I request Dr. T.R. Subramanya to give him a bouquet.
Presiding over this session is Shri G. Dakshinamurthy. He is a former Secretary of Law and Parliamentary Reforms. He is currently the Director of Kilpar and has been working as a Secretary in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs for several years. He has been instrumental in bringing about many parliamentary reforms, and he has sponsored many programs like the present seminar. I would like to request Mr. Suresh Naragowda to present the bouquet and the memento.
Also on the dais is our very own Principal and Dean Faculty of Law, University Law College, Bangalore University, Bangalore. I kindly request Mr. Satish Gowda to present him with a bouquet. Thank you.